Your dream and the visions of your head as you lay in bed are these. To you, O king, as you lay in bed, come thoughts of what would be after this, and he who reveals mystery made known to you what is to be. But as for me, the mystery has been revealed to me, not because of any wisdom that I have more than all the living, but in order that the interpretation may be known to the king, and that you may know the thoughts of your mind. You saw, O king, and behold, a great image. This image, mighty and of exceeding brightness, stood before you, and its appearance was frightening. The head of this image was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its middle and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. As you looked, a stone was cut out by no human hand, and it struck the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold all together were broken in pieces and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, so that not a trace of them could be found. But the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This was the dream. Now we will tell the king its interpretation. You, O king, the king of kings, to whom the God of heaven has given the kingdom, the power and the might and the glory, and into whose hand he has given, wherever they dwell, the children of man, the beasts of the field and the birds of the heavens, making you rule over them all. You are the head of gold. Another kingdom inferior to you shall rise after you, and yet a third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. And there shall be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, because iron breaks to pieces and shatters all things. And like iron that crushes, it shall break and crush all these. And as you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, it shall be a divided kingdom. But some of the firmness of the iron shall be in it, just as you saw iron mixed with the soft clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly iron and partly clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly brittle. As you saw the iron mixed with the soft clay, so they will mix with one another in marriage, but they will not hold together, just as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed, nor shall the kingdom be left to another people. It shall break in pieces all these kingdoms and bring them to an end, and it shall stand forever, just as you saw that a stone was cut from a mountain by no human hand, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold. A great God has made known to the king what shall be after this. The dream is certain, and its interpretation sure. Then King Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and paid homage to Daniel, and commanded that an offering and incense be offered up to him. The king answered and said to Daniel, "Truly, your God is God of gods, and Lord of kings, and a revealer of mysteries, for you have been able to reveal this mystery." Then the king gave Daniel high honors and many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and chief prefect over all the wise men of Babylon. Daniel made a request of the king, and he appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel remained at the king's court. That is awesome. Now let's look at the fulfillment of those prophecies. This commentary is from Ian M. DeGuid and Paul D. Wegner. According to Daniel's interpretation, the head of gold was Nebuchadnezzar. God gave him great dominion, power, and glory, reminiscent of that granted to Adam, with dominion over not only human beings, but also the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. The nation had become a vast empire, and Nebuchadnezzar ruled ruthlessly. Babylon itself was an amazing achievement with its hanging gardens, one of the famed seven wonders of the ancient world, many temples, and a bridge crossing the Euphrates River. Thus, the head of gold is a fitting description. After Nebuchadnezzar's time, there would be two more kingdoms, each inferior to the previous one in glory and unity, though still strong and powerful. This was Medo-Persia, 539 to 331 BC, and then Greece, 331 to 63 BC. The fourth kingdom, which is the Roman Empire, would be strong as iron, yet also an unstable composite of different peoples who would not hold together. The Aramaic description of intermarriage as mixing, quote, by the seed of men, recalls the prohibition on sowing mixed seed in a field, Leviticus 19:19. As for the stone cut from no human hand, God will establish a kingdom that shall never be destroyed, his final kingdom, which will destroy all other kingdoms. Though it starts small, it will grow to fill the earth, and, unlike the earthly kingdoms, it will endure forever. It is striking that God gave this dream to Nebuchadnezzar in the 7th century BC, about 602 BC. For in this dream, and in the subsequent visions linked to it in chapters 7 and 8, God predicts in accurate detail the future kingdoms that would arise to dominate world history in the 6th, 4th, and 1st centuries BC. Traditional commentaries through the history of the church have almost universally identified the four kingdoms as Babylon, Medo-Persia, established by Cyrus in 539 BC, specifically named in chapter 8, verse 20, Greece, under Alexander the Great, about 331 BC, specifically named in chapter 8, verse 21, and Rome. The Roman Empire began its rule over Palestine in 63 BC. The progression of world history is typically not upward to glory and unity, but rather downward to dishonor and disunity. Thus, the statue progresses from gold to silver to bronze to iron, and from one head to a chest and arms to belly and thighs to feet and toes of composite iron and clay. This list of metals shows a progressive decrease in the value and splendor of the materials, but an increase in toughness and endurance. Commentators understand this to indicate a general decline in the moral quality of the governments and an increase in the amount of time they lasted. In contrast, God's kingdom grows from humble beginnings to ultimate united glory as a single kingdom that fills the whole earth forever. The stone that will break in pieces all these other four kingdoms is Christ. See Luke 20:18. He is the mystery of the ages, the one in whom God plans to unite all things in his glorious kingdom. See Ephesians 1:9 and 10.